to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
My favorite condiment is sarcasm. I put it on everything.
And Dale Hummel.
Let's go, Brandon.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, it's still dark in Montana.
It's very early. You and your Angus sale nonsense of it all it's a lot this week. I'm just gonna say.
I was able to get our manager Craig Benoit to the airport, and I'm back at the hotel, and I appreciate you and Clifton jumping on to record this early. I do have a short story when we were a Montana story, we'll call it. Driving back from the sale facility to the hotel last night, I'm on my phone texting, emailing. I really don't know what I was doing, but Craig proceeds to hit the brakes very abruptly, and I look up, Ryan, and guess what we nearly hit?
I'm hoping it was not a moose.
It was not a moose. It was a bear. I cannot tell you if it's a black bear or a grizzly bear. It was a fairly big bear, and we were within inches. There was two of them. One came out, ran across the road that we about hit. The other one was smart enough not to come across, because if he would have, I think we would have had an issue. And I don't know how that works with rental car insurance, but hitting a bear, and I'm sure there would have been complications.
Did it try to eat you?
It did not try to eat me. I did have to go to the bathroom, and I thought about pulling off the side of the road to go to the bathroom afterwards, and I thought that's a bad idea. Very bad idea.
I am very disappointed the bear didn't come to try to make friends or eat y'all, especially after you tried to run over it.
I did not try to run it over. The bear was clearly not paying attention to the traffic when he was going to cross the road.
Well, it's Montana. It's kind of the bear's world, not the human's world.
Well, I bet that bear's aware of the traffic. I think he's probably been across that road a few times. But the bear's okay. As far as I know, I don't know if the other one made it across safe. It was a fairly busy road, but I think we're okay. Beautiful weather in Montana, beautiful Angus cattle. Everything's going well except for about hitting a bear.
Except for the bear.
How's the airlines and the pilots and Southwest, and how are those things going?
I don't know anything about Southwest. That's your airline. So, of course, I have had just god-awful luck the last 5 months with United, primarily. When I can't fly United, I don't know. It's either Delta or American, but 95% of the time it's United. And yesterday, this weekend, Southwest has canceled everything pretty much. And I had zero problems coming home yesterday in the middle of all this, but they say that it's only going to get worse. I guess if you want to book a flight right now, it is ridiculously cheap. But as I was telling one of my friends last night, I said, if it's at this rate in January, you're booking this ticket, and guess what? There may not be airlines anymore. So I don't know what's going on, but it's a wreck. I'm very excited that for the next 2 weeks, I don't have to fly anywhere. My shows are in Texas on the weekends. I can just drive to them. Hopefully, they'll have this all straightened out before I go to Indiana for Halloween. But we'll see.
And I'm flying, I believe, Delta this week. No issues that I've encountered yet, but I will fly Southwest on a fairly regular basis, and it appears though they came out to begin with and blamed it on weather.
Yeah, I don't think weather can last from Friday till Monday. Yesterday, they're still not good.
It appears to be opposition to vaccination mandates, period. I think we're going to see it not only in the pilots, the ground crew, everything, all the way across.
Talking about vaccination mandates, my governor, Greg Abbott, signed an executive order yesterday saying those were illegal.
So we're in a battle of executive orders and mandates.
Just saying, my governor said, no, that is not legal in the state of Texas. Very proud, very proud.
So for the most part, everything will be placed in judicial hands, and whoever had the right judge nominees in the right places is going to survive this better than not.
Pretty much.
Amazing. Well, Biden's launching something, a supply chain task force. Did you hear that, Ryan? A supply chain task force.
I am so tired of listening to Biden and all of his flunkies that, no, I did not. I have not heard this.
I don't know what he thinks this is going to do. We're under shortages. We're compounding the problem. Every policy, every mandate he puts in place compounds all these issues. And we either want to make it more difficult or we're too ignorant to understand that's what's happening. He's doing the opposite of what we need right now. Small businesses need to fill the gaps in and fill in what we have done in the past, history has shown us that when there's a need, a small business will fill it, and we're strangling the small business and not allowing that to happen through multiple directions.
I didn't see a whole lot of the news this weekend because I was at Keystone judging, but all that I saw, his poll numbers continue just to like go to shit. I mean, like he's rapidly becoming the least popular president in the history of the world. He's got, I mean, even the Democrats are on him about the border crisis. Afghanistan has disappeared, but if it ever gets brought up, no one thinks he did a good job there. He can't get his bills across. He's getting a lot of negative attention from both sides of the aisle on his ineffectiveness in getting legislature passed, especially when he controls both the House and the Senate. So if you can't get something passed when you own both of those and the White House, can you even be called a leader?
I don't know, but I'm still very frightened. I'm so pleased that they're fighting within their Democrat Party about how much to spend, how socialist do we want to become, maybe communist, whatever direction some of those crazies want to take us, versus a couple that are a little more moderate. But it's a mess, and if this bill passes, guys, I'm just telling you, it opens up from the EPA regulations to multiple other things. It is not good for the red meat industry in the future, and I think we're going to continue to fight this battle. I just hope this bill doesn't water down enough that it passes, that it just hangs up forever. It's a mess. You spoke of Afghanistan, the G20's meeting, Ryan, and guess what they want to talk about with Mr. Biden?
I don't know.
The Afghanistan crisis. So it's coming back up. I'm sure the media won't cover it, but other countries are not exactly thrilled with how we pulled out and did not communicate with them, and they'd like to voice their opinion, I believe.
And see, if you listen to him during this, he talked to everybody, and they said,
yeah,
go for it.
Everything's great. He's their hero. He's fixing the world.
He was literally going to make all the relations with other countries on the world stage better again. And let's see. France is pissed. Everyone's pissed. Yeah, no. And again, I don't think you have to agree with everything that Trump did in office, because there were a few minor things that I was like, yeah, that wasn't a good idea. Don't pay attention to his tweets. Which, by the way, when he runs in 2024, he can't be on Twitter, so you won't even have to worry about that, people. So, see, there's another reason to reelect him. He can't even tweet. But not once did we have a country, all the countries were working with us, doing what we told them to do. We had no angry people. I just hate this man that's our president. I really don't like him. I really don't like him.
It is a challenge. I heard this morning when I was coming back from the airport, the border wall obviously was discontinued via executive order.
$100 million worth of materials just lying there.
In contracts that are already paid that were null and void. We still pay the contractors. We still have.
And they don't have to do nothing.
No, nothing. They even talked about some of the areas where they put light on the border wall for agents to be able to see better, whatever, and they failed to plug them in or hook the electricity up before the executive order. Now they can't even plug the lights in because it wasn't done prior to the executive order. That's how wide sweeping it is. So there's lights right there on the border wall or on the border. I don't even know which state it was. They're not allowed to turn the damn things on.
That's brilliant.
How is this possible? How is this possible in our country?
Well, they're talking about the border crisis. Did you know there's 60,000 more almost there?
Yeah, on their way, en route.
On their way, yeah. Uh-huh.
And what, they showed up with 250 buses to get everybody out from under the bridge, and we just really don't even know where they went.
No, but there's 60,000 more coming. So
yeah,
the buses just needed to circle back. Circle back, buses. Circle back.
Speaking of circle back, I have to circle back. You had a question on wrapping the lamb's legs, and we talked about so they don't pluck the hair. I had a couple messages, and we did not mention. I should have. I think a lot of people are also doing it just to keep the shavings out and keep them clean between shows. They say it takes time to wrap the legs, but it's less time than picking all the shavings out.
There you go.
Seems logical. NFL coach Ryan.
Yes.
John Gruden resigns, gets fired.
I've got two things on this. Like, okay, so obviously I am gay. Woohoo. Whatever. Um, I am in the minority of this section of the population because being gay does not define who I am like it does for so many of the LGBTQ community. It is
I
just a
think
part of me.
90% or better. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and then that's why I really don't get along with most gay people. I'm gonna be honest, I just don't. But it doesn't define me. It's just a part of who I am. So the Las Vegas Raiders coach, evidently, somebody got wind that he had a whole bunch of anti-gay things in his emails. So they asked him to turn over his emails. He resigns. Whatever. It's football. Do you not think that there's going to be a whole bunch of homophobic redneck people involved? It's a game that's designed to whoever has the ball, you try to kill them. Okay?
That's just the nature of the beast.
I mean, I don't understand it. Like, it's, and why do I care? Why is it national news what the Las Vegas Raiders coach thinks about anyone? If he does his job, he does his job. I don't get it. I just saw this yesterday and I just couldn't believe it. So there is a new Superman comic coming out. And the new Superman is the son of Lois and Clark Kent, who Clark Kent was the original Superman. And guess what, Dale? The new Superman is bisexual. And his first relationship in the comic book, which when did we start putting sexual relationships in kids' comic books? I'm not real sure about. But anyway, his first relationship is with a man. Like, this is too far.
Isn't that just interesting?
This is just too far. Too far.
And this isn't a comic book.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
And I do realize that probably now more than ever, the people that read comic books are not kids anymore, but originally they were for children. Now there's a whole, section of the population that loved it as kids and still do it. And they're actually the ones, I don't see kids with comic books anymore, but that group of people that still loves them, I cannot believe that this is where we're at. Like, I am the least woke person in the history of the world, evidently. Especially the least woke gay person for sure. And I will wear that crown proudly.
You are that. I thought woke was maybe losing a little traction, then things like this pop up. Back to the NFL and NBA, Ryan, it has zero impact on me. Ever since we disrespected the flag, the national anthem, our country, I have not heard that apology yet, and I'm probably not listening very closely, but I'm just out. I could care less about what's going on there at all, and I refuse to support it. Period. Done.
If you love football or if you love basketball or baseball or whatever it is and that's your thing, I don't think you personally care about what the personal feelings about anybody on that team is about one group or race or whatever. You just want that team to win because you have some attraction or affiliation with them. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's very, very weird. I mean, I think it's very admirable that the guy resigned and didn't, and said he was sorry and all this other stuff, but it's just, it's all so much right now.
It is. Did you hear about the shredding of the ballot applications in Georgia?
Do what?
I heard on the news there was 3,000 or more ballot applications that were shredded. Literally here recently.
Why?
So not ballots themselves, but people apply. They haven't disclosed if they were liberal or conservative. They haven't discussed what that is, but it obviously is an issue, and they're looking into it. So it just continues. And there is one current event that we need to address within our industry, Ryan, that I have not had a chance to visit with you about, but I'm sure we'll visit in great detail later. We haven't had a lot of.
I don't like it when you do this.
I know, but it's fine. We have not had a lot of shows canceled, thank God. All that's going well, but we are encountering some mask requirements at some of the shows. I believe Cow Palace was having issues with this last week.
They had more than issues,
and I believe, and I did not personally read that, but it appears as though the North American is requiring masks as well. We went through this last year, Ryan. You and I were very firm that if we needed to wear a mask for the show to happen, we just do it. That's our only option. I think we're to the point in this country that most people realize the mask is it has become more of a political statement. It does very little, almost nothing from you contracting COVID. If you're actively coughing on other people and sneezing, it may slow those particles down. But for the most part, there's very little value in the masks that are being worn, because it's crazy when we're taking them off to eat, we're all those things. And I think people are so fed up with it. My fear is, if there is a requirement at Louisville, I think we're going to be in the same situation that we saw at Cow Palace, that people they're just not doing it. They don't want to put that mask on. And it's a difficult position for the show managers. We're under the assumption that they're not implementing this. It's coming from the mayor, the governor. I don't know where it's all coming from, but it's going to be an issue.
I have not seen anything about Louisville doing it, but I heard somebody said there was going to be. I do know that Cow Palace posted on their Facebook that people were not complying and it was causing a problem. Again, Cow Palace is in San Francisco. So if you...
Daly City, just outside of San Francisco, but close enough.
No, it's San Francisco.
No, I think it's Daly City. I do believe that. But I think you're right. It may have some of the same rules applying.
Anyway, I'm not going to argue with you over this. But, like, if you didn't think you were going to have to wear a mask out there that close to San Francisco, even though I think it's actually in San Francisco, but anyhow, then you clearly don't pay attention to the world around you, because, yeah, California's very liberal and San Francisco's the gay capital of the world, so there's liberals and weirdos running around everywhere. Yeah, no, you were going to have to wear a mask. So,
and I believe they did have it in their entry form. I think they were pretty open that, guys, we have to do this. I think we're in a situation now where we hear that we're going to have to wear a mask to go into Walmart or Home Depot or whatever, even in Illinois, and we have a mask mandate, but I'm going to say 30% of the people in there are not wearing them. Nobody's enforcing it. So I think the same mentality's been taken when they're going to Cow Palace, even though it was in the entries and you signed off on it that you would wear a mask to participate. All of these things, I think people assume it's just a requirement that maybe is on the books to be there because they have to put it there, but nobody's going to enforce it. The problem becomes, on occasion, you're going to have certain situations in certain places where that management is going to be forced to enforce such, even though Ryan or I or most of us think the mask is ridiculous. It's serving no scientific, functional, biological purpose. It makes it difficult to comply with that, but unfortunately it's an issue, and I don't know that I have an answer for it.
I do not think masks work. I don't care what Fauci or anybody else says. I still have to wear one on a plane every week, and you just do it. And again, I wouldn't like doing it anywhere, but if that's what it takes for me to engage in whatever activity I want to, I'm just going to have to. And so,
regardless of what our personal opinion of is it, and I'm gonna stand up for the show officials. I don't think they're going to try to enforce this or make you do it unless they're under a situation where they have no choice. So it's a tough deal, guys, and I'm as guilty of not wearing a mask when I go into stores and in different places right now. So I do not want to be a hypocrite and say, hey, you have to do this. But if we are in a true situation at an upcoming show where the show management says you have to put one on or they're going to shut us down, I just don't think we have a choice. I don't think the show managers are doing that just because of their personal preferences. I think there's somebody telling them, the health department, you do it or we're not going to let this happen. I just think that's where it's at.
I think Kansas City's going on, and I haven't heard anything about masks there. So
no, I haven't heard any issues there whatsoever.
Before we move on, there is one little piece of national news that I want people to watch. So the elections are fixing to come up for this year, but there's only 2 gubernatorial races, and it's the year following the president's race. In Virginia, Biden won by 11 points, I think. 10 or 11 points. Well, they're one of the 2 that's having a governor's race, and it is tight. It's like less than 5 points between the Democrat and the Republican. Virginia used to be purple. Now it's red, very red. And so I think the best sign of what's going to happen in 2022 and possibly 2024, but definitely 2022, is what happens in this governor's race. If that Republican and the guy, the Democrat candidate, is a former governor of Virginia, and he's running for his old job. And so if this Republican guy can take it, that's a big statement.
Wouldn't that be great?
Just saying.
It's going the right direction. With that, Ryan and I would like to thank Boxel Manufacturing for supporting this podcast each and every week. If you're searching for a livestock blower, please at least give Boxel a look. We have a double blower at our place. Absolutely thrilled with the performance. Could not say anything negative whatsoever, and actually just the opposite. It's been as good as we've ever had. So, Boxel, thank you for the continued support.
And I also have Ryan Rice show boxes if anybody wants a Christmas present. They're purple and sparkly and,
And if they would like that autograph, could you do that?
Well, I mean, if they're at a show that I'm at, sure. I mean, yeah,
always happy. They bring the show box to a show near you. You're all
I'll be I signed a kid's arm last week. Of course I'll sign one of my show boxes. But, so yeah. Again, nice Christmas present for people. And then speaking of sponsors, we have the Beyond the Range Junior Livestock Association coming up starting January 1. We're already taking membership. So sign kids if you're on there. Make your parents sign you up. Parents, if you're listening, sign your kids up. We're going to have a list of sanctioned shows for the first 2 months coming up November 1st. We've made sanctioning free to every show. So you have absolutely no excuse not to sanction your show with us. It's free. Fill out the form, send it in, get on the calendar, and send in the results after it's over. Do it so all these kids that have joined can get points at your show. But I want to thank the Region 5 cattle sponsor, Stock Show Therapies. And again, I want to reiterate something on these region and state sponsors. When we get one of these, and to sponsor a species in a region, it's $1,500. To sponsor a species in a state, it's $1,000. And I know that's a lot of money. But when we get one of these sponsors, that gives that species in that region or that state a full awards program for 2022, regardless of their membership numbers. So there'll be a top 10 in that species in all 4 of our age divisions. So these region and state sponsorships are a big deal. And so if you're interested in that, email us. But Stock Show Therapies is the Region 5 cattle sponsor. They utilize MagnaWave and other types of things to provide livestock competitors an elite edge. They work on improving the range of motion, alleviate inflammation, increase appetite, prevent injury, and recover from strenuous exercise. Stock Show Therapies specializes in meeting the performance needs of competitive livestock, and they have a great passion, and they're dedicated to achieving their clients' goals. So we want to say thank you to Stock Show Therapies. Y'all give them a look. If I know lots of people that use that MagnaWave, and they love it. So please help support those that are helping support our association.
Ryan, I should have flown Stock Show Therapies in after the motocross accident, I think.
I don't think they could help you. But,
you don't think so?
Maybe they're that good. If they could have fixed you, then Lord, there's nothing they couldn't have fixed with an animal.
Endorse them for life.
Yeah.
So speaking of the association, Ryan, I've been getting a few calls from members that have already signed up and parents of members and county fair superintendents. What I'm really excited about is these members and county fair superintendents are talking about how they're getting their show sanctioned and they're going to their next county meeting and they're going to talk to them about it. It seems like what we hoped would happen is happening. We have members out there advocating and talking to shows about getting sanctioned. And I think I'm hoping that groundswell will get an incredible number of sanctioned shows. And I appreciate those that are out there doing such.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. We had lots of people sanctioned before we even did this, but I had a lot of emails saying, well, I don't know if there'll be enough members in this area to justify the $100 sanctioning fee and all. And I get it. The first year, everybody's doesn't know how big it's going to be, all this. I understand. That's why we just took that away. We said, hey, you know what? Gone. So there's no financial burden on these shows to be a sanctioned show. Again, I cannot stress this enough. All you have to do is fill out the sanctioning form, email it to us, and then you send in your results after the shows. I can't make it any easier for you people. I cannot. That's as simple as it gets. And so I hope that everyone that's listening, whether you're a member or you're running a show, you will fill out the form and send it in so these kids have as many opportunities to get their 10 rings as possible all throughout the nation. So, and I've got meetings, conference calls this weekend with associations and stuff like that, and I know lots of different kind of series deals and associations were meeting here late in October to get all their people on board. So that's why we're waiting until November 1 to release the first 60 days of shows so we can get all of them in. But it's going to be big, and we're really excited.
Are you ready for the main topic, Ryan?
Yes.
We really don't have a title yet is a problem, but...
No, you just don't like my title.
Well,
I have a title. You woke me up at 6 o'clock this morning with some stupid title that I didn't even understand. I literally wrote back, huh?
I don't know that we are going to understand your title if they don't look deeper, but we're going to go with it. Classes of Livestock People.
It's very simple.
Classes of Livestock People. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No,
it's very simple.
No, I disagree.
Well, that's because you're wrong, but there are different types of people that go to shows.
Yes,
like there's
there
a
are.
class, just like there's a class system in different countries in the United States. The same thing applies here. Same concept.
Yeah, there are definitely different types of people that go to the show that focus on different things, but that doesn't mean they're a different class of people.
It's a pun, Dale. Classes of livestock. There's a class system in the livestock
Do you not know
world.
The woke community out there is going to shut us down?
And I just said I'm the least woke, blank, 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 blank gay person in the world.
And I have to agree with that.
If you don't find me funny, I get it, but it's a pun. That is what it is. It's a pun.
Excellent. Well, let's continue with that. Which class of people at the show should we start with?
This is not being negative about anybody, but there are different people that go to shows for different things, and that's why I think that this industry is the best in the world because there are so many different ways that you can go and have goals and achieve them and still have a positive experience. If you don't win the whole show. That's what makes this whole thing tick and run. And so that's just something that I thought we'd dive into a little bit more. But for instance, there is a group, and I am in that group, that are the uber super competitive individuals. And we're there to win the whole show. All of it.
And if that does not happen, you're disappointed.
Right. I mean, I'm not ready to throw things or stab people, but yeah, I went there with a goal. And so, yeah. Well,
and I think there's a lot that fit into that category. I am going to throw myself under the bus and put myself right there. That is...
See, I don't think there's any reason to throw you under the bus because I don't think there's anything wrong with being that way.
No, but I think because of that, you and I will have a little bit of anxiety and stress and a lot of things that come with it.
But that also is what I enjoy.
Oh, see, I could skip that part.
No, and I realize that that's a little bit sick, but
it is.
I enjoy being put under that pressure and having to perform and make sure everybody else is on the... I like that. I do. I miss it. I'm not joking. I miss it the most. But
I think it's just because you've been away from it. You forgot just how challenging that feeling can be.
No, I miss it. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with going there and saying, you know what? Hey, I'm here to win. I mean, I don't think you hurt people in the process of it or anything. But I have stated and I will state again, I never and will never have been to a livestock show in any form or capacity ever gone to make friends. I have gone to do whatever it is that I set out to do, and when I am showing, I am there to win, and that is it.
And I think there's a lot of people that fall into that category, and it is. We should not look down upon that, and just like a lot of the other categories that we're going to bring up, and it is interesting because Ryan, when you and I are in that mindset, I'm terrible, and you make fun of me all the time. I have this little bubble around me, or my little world, that if it doesn't exist in that world, it doesn't. It's not out there. I assume that everybody has that same mindset. We're going to the show to win, and that is it. That is our goal, and we're going to do everything we can to go that direction. But there's a lot of people that go to shows that thoroughly enjoy them that may not have that mindset.
And that's fine too. But I have noticed here recently, and we're going to talk more into this as we go deeper down. I think that now more than ever, probably because it is more competitive and all this stuff, there are more negative feelings about different groups of livestock show people. And that's why I wanted to bring this topic up. I don't think we need that. And maybe they don't realize they're being negative, but I get so many people that come up to me and their comments and stuff. And I'm not talking about hundreds of people. I'm talking like probably over the past 5 months, thousands, because of, how much I was gone and how much I was on the road and how much I judged. And I'm getting this sense that we're not as accepting of each other as we need to be. Because again, everybody's got different goals. Everybody's got different priorities. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever at all. But I'm seeing a pattern that I don't like in the fact that I think a lot of people on those super competitive people, they're getting, people are being negative about that. And there is nothing wrong with wanting to go to a show and wanting to win. I'm sorry, there's not. And that's just my opinion, but that's what y'all tune in for.
I'm going to back that up 100% and do anything and everything to achieve that goal within the rules and regulations or ethical procedures. I think I want to insert that, and maybe sometimes we're getting confused that there's the assumption that if we're going there and we're that ultra competitive, we're doing anything to win and sometimes not on the same even playing field as everybody else. And that does happen. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't. There's no question things are happening that give others an advantage. But those that are playing by the rules, doing things organically, and busting their butt day and night to win, there is no reason to be negative towards those people, just like the people that want to go to the show and just enjoy and have it as a social outing. There's nothing wrong with that either. But sometimes I'm afraid, Ryan, maybe I'm overthinking this, but there is a lot of opposition to a lot of practices that are taking place that are not ethical and are giving some a super advantage. And some of those go on to win, and that's putting a negative taste in the mouth. And I get it. I understand it. But be careful, people, because there's still people out there doing things the right way with that same mindset.
Not everybody that's won a show gets kicked out. Okay?
Correct. So I think there's some overlap there, and be careful because not everybody's going to do things incorrectly.
Then there are the showmanship people. And I'm a big fan of showmanship. And I will state, almost every time I judge a showmanship contest, which is probably at least once a week, that not everyone is going to be in the situation where they can have the grand champion steer, lamb, pig, goat, but heifer, whatever. But everybody can be the grand champion kid, and you do that by winning showmanship. And I believe that. And I think it is an equally as important part of this industry as the actual livestock competition. Again, as I just stated earlier, I want to win everything. So when I was doing this, my kids were super competitive in showmanship. And we were going to do it at the shows that mattered and were important because, like in Texas, there's certain official sanctioned showmanship shows. So I wouldn't make them go into showmanship at every jackpot show because I thought it was a little rude to beat up on people every single week. But when it was one of those that mattered and counted for points, by God, we were going out there and we were going to win. I think showmanship is vitally important. I think it does give an outlet to a whole section of the livestock industry to succeed and excel that maybe can't in the other parts of it. And so there's nothing wrong with their showmanship being your number one goal. And again, we had a question on here several months ago that basically made fun of showmanship, and we all remember my reaction to that. And we don't have to go through that again, but I want to win everything. I don't see anything wrong with those people that focus on showmanship, make that their goal, and help their kids become the absolute very best showman they can be.
No, I think that's absolutely right, Ryan, and you stated it. I think not completely, but to a large degree, it takes the dollars out of it and what budget you have to spend.
Yeah, I'm going to
Those
talk about
kids,
that later.
yeah, those kids that are dragging every weekend to that local jackpot show and just busting their butt to get better and better and better, they can do that in showmanship, and it's great. It's interesting to me. I see it in the East, Southeast, and the West Coast. It seems like the showmanship is maybe more popular, or we have more people in that category. And we have certain pockets of our country that, and I get it, I understand it, I appreciate it, that showmanship is more important to a larger group than the actual winning of the show. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and we don't see it as much right in the Midwest, and I don't know that you see it as much in Texas, but
No.
but it's there, and that's great, and that's maybe if we boil it down to the basics and teaching our kids what we want to teach them, that may be doing it as well as anything.
And showmanship probably is more important in terms of teaching these kids the things that they're going to need to know to be successful in the game of life. And but showmanship is vitally, vitally important. I don't think it should ever be looked down upon. I also think that if you want to compete with the big boys at the top of the thing in the actual livestock portion of the competition, there's nothing wrong with that. They go hand in hand in a lot of things, and I don't think people realize that enough. And there is a lot of families in all species that are competitive in both, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I think showmanship is one of the coolest parts of the whole thing.
No, I agree. And if you want to win the big stage or anywhere, you better be a pretty darn good showman to get across in the show as well. It's all tied together, and it's good.
I've judged a whole lot of shows. I've been to a whole lot of shows on all levels, and very, very, very few times. I'm talking like maybe, I would say way less than 5%. I want to say like 1%. Have I ever seen a kid that was just really doing a poor job of showmanship? And when I mean a poor job of showmanship, like they're making the animal look bad, ever win something in the regular show. So it goes hand in hand.
Agreed. Well, let's talk about the families that are going. Their kids will participate in showmanship. They'll participate in the show, but they go because they enjoy the social atmosphere.
Yeah, there's lots of people like that, and this is what they do for fun, and they enjoy the people, and they enjoy. I'm not saying they don't enjoy the competition part, but that's not their main focus. And in Texas, and again, a lot of my experience is from observing people at Texas major shows and jackpot shows. And so I'm just going with that. This is a big portion of the people. It just is. And, they realize that they may never win a banner, but they are happy teaching their kids drive, determination, all these things that you learn from this. They're happy to go to the shows. They're happy when other people win. And that a lot of people don't understand that group. And for a long time, I did not understand them either. And I will never be able to fully comprehend it because I am such a competitive person. But especially since I haven't been brokering animals and I can see that portion a lot clearer now, I guess is what I should say.
Just stepping away, it's easier. And I think, there's a lot of value in the relationships that they've made. And we talk about the show families. It is a big deal. And even if you're there to win, you still enjoy being around certain people. Or if you're just there for showmanship or whatever it may be, or whatever your emphasis is, there is no question that social interaction and atmosphere of the stock show industry, a lot of people truly enjoy it. And it's built relationships. They've made new friends, and they enjoy being around those people that they've become acquainted with.
And one thing that I think happens is those people grew up in it, did it. They made those connections with different people throughout their state or possibly the United States. And those connections don't just end when you leave a show barn. They help you in business. They help you get through things in your life and all this other stuff. And they want their kids to have that. And again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's a very valid point. I can't tell you the number of times that I have heard stories about, you know what, I went into a job interview and I didn't know this person, but they ended up knowing somebody that showed livestock, or they showed livestock and I got that job, or somebody got me in with this company because they knew me through showing livestock. These are real world connections that help you far past when you leave the show ring or show barn.
No, and that's part of it. It's great. It's build those networks, build those relationships. All those things are happening. So I'm there, and Ryan, I think you talked about, since you stepped away from it, you see the incentive advantages, just the appreciation that people have to be in that social atmosphere. I see it more each year as well, and I was probably very blind to it initially, but it is. And as I step back and take a deep breath, long term, those things like you just talked about, that job interview, that there's a connection there, or it opened a door somewhere because you knew this person. I'm going to be a little bit outspoken here, and I've been this way for a long time about when somebody asks me the value of going to college and getting a degree and the classes you take and all those. And I was a college professor for 20 years. I still stand by my...
I still do. Again, to the people that taught Dale that come up to me at every show, I'm sorry for y'all.
Exactly.
I just had one this week.
Oh my. So I still stand by, one of the most important things you're going to get from college is the people that you're around, the networks that you make, and the same thing is happening at the livestock shows. Those are invaluable relationships that are going to benefit you lifelong. And we need to remember that, and we don't talk about it enough in our show community. Even though it's happening, we just don't acknowledge it maybe publicly or speak about it as much, but it's there. There's no question. It's a phenomenal networking tool.
And then there's a group, and this is probably more just Texas and maybe Oklahoma, but I'm still going to address it. But there is a group of people that go to make the sale, or to get the brand is what we call it in Texas. And again, that group of people, they are competitive, and they realize that what their goals are, and it is to get that brand or make that sale. And again, I think this is more specifically Texas and Oklahoma, because we have, so many shows where multiple kids get to make a premium sale or junior auction, and they work just as hard as anybody else. And in Texas, for instance, there are counties that will brag about the fact that they have so many X number of kids that made the sale at Texas major shows. And it's a big deal, and it's important.
Really big deal. Making that sale is huge. And I don't know, and each species will pull a different number out of each class, and there's different size classes, but I'm going to use the goats for an example. Let's say San Antonio. I don't know how many's in a class, 50 to 100, probably closer to 100, maybe even more than that. But your top 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range are going to make the sale. And that the biggest applause sometimes you will hear from the crowd is you've pulled in first through 9th or 10th, and there's one sale slot left. And that young person that gets pulled in, that's exciting. That person made the sale.
I tell you, the Fort Worth Steer Show, they do 10 in each class of every breed. And, normally the judge starts at the bottom. And so he may have kept 20 or 16 out there, because most of those classes are anywhere from 60 to over 100. But when that person gets pulled in 10th, the 10th place, you're right. That's when people clap the most, because, oh my God, we got in the sale. We got the brand. And so, and for you people outside of Texas, Oklahoma, I know you won't understand this, but that is a big section, and they bust their ass. And I think it's cool.
Yeah, it works. It falls somewhere between trying to just absolutely win that show and maybe a family that's coming for the showmanship, for a little bit of everything. But to make that sale, it's not easy. You need to spend a fortune to get it done. You can get it done, generally speaking, on a lesser budget, but you're working your absolute butt off to get it done. And those are the ones that make me feel really good.
Yep. And then there's the bred and owned people. And this is something that is super cool because these people breed all their own animals and, everything they do from mating selections to having them born, feeding them the whole way through. That's what they focus on. And they don't go and they don't buy from other people and all this stuff. And a lot of shows recognize this portion, specifically in breeding cattle. They have a lot of opportunities to have a separate show where they're recognized for their efforts. But this is a really cool deal, and it's something that, it puts another layer on it. And so, again, to those people that focus on that, they make that their goal. They want to breed all their own animals. They want, to have control over the entire process from start to finish. I think kudos to you and good job. And it's obviously more difficult than going out there and purchasing one. So you doing the extra work on that end, good job to you.
It's just another way to recognize that effort. And I think the more layers, Ryan, as you stated, the more layers we have to recognize within reason, that's a great thing. Let's allow more recognition. Let's focus on those things. Let's make that a big deal. And I know the feeling that people get if they actually bred that one, and it's been something that they've been working on for years to get to that point, and they continue to do just a little bit better, maybe at their county fair, at their state fair, even on the national stage. And when you can breed one and your child or yourself or whatever that is in the bred and owned division stipulates, you fit into that division and you succeed, there's an incredible sense of pride in it, and it's well earned, well deserved.
And so then the last one that I have, and Dale might have more, and this one's going to get mixed emotions or reactions or whatever. But since I literally have judged more county fairs than almost anybody I know over the past 2 years, there is a group of people that just go to the county fair, and I'm gonna own it. I used to make fun of these people, and I'm not gonna.
You did not do that.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I will own my mistakes in life, and while I still think there is a great value in stepping outside of the county fair and going to jackpot shows and going to bigger shows like the state fairs and the major shows, I get that there are some families that, due to time constraints, whatever you want to call it, they only focus on their county fair. And I meet these people, I see these people, I talk to these people, and you know what? Again, and it's probably just because I have judged so many of them, I have a new sense of respect for these people.
That is great. And I agree with you. And there are a lot of reasons why maybe we don't go, or that family doesn't go to other ones, and they still put some effort out and they still partake in that county fair and try to compete. It's good. And I think the only way you're going to get that appreciation, Ryan, going from brokering and showing at the level that you did, you kind of missed that. I'm not saying you didn't go to your county fair. I don't remember the story.
I went to like 800 million county fairs showing. And okay. That's what I'm saying. I did not understand that. I'm like, how do you just go to your county fair? But now that I've talked to these people and met that group, I get it. I understand it. Yeah. And there's some ridicule from people, and I was one of those people, and I'll say I'm wrong because I do have a new appreciation for that group of people.
And sometimes with the county fair rules and regulations and certain things in place, that's maybe one of the most challenging shows to succeed at.
They definitely have the most rules.
But we're working on that. We're trying to update some of those things.
And this isn't all of the different types of people or all the ways to succeed and all this other stuff. But that's a brief overview of it. And this has kind of been rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, and it's not going to be right here. Because I'm going to tell you the reason I wanted this topic, and I mean this very sincerely, folks. It is way easier to tear people down than it is to lift yourself up. And we got to stop that. We just have to. We have to be more tolerant, more accepting, and more supportive of every livestock show family, of every livestock show kid, whatever their goals are. And I guess I'm in a very unique position because I do travel so much to shows, and so many people come up and talk to me. I hear the comments, and I don't know if they're meaning them to come across the way they are, but over the last 6 months specifically, I have talked to all facets of people that show livestock and all the ones that we just mentioned. And there is a lot of negativity for, like, I'm just going to give some examples. I think there's a lot of negativity about people who go out and spend a lot of money on animals and compete hard, and they may have paid people to help them and help their kids succeed, and there's a lot of negative towards that. I know Biden is president, but America is still a capitalistic society right now. We're not turned to socialism yet. And there's nothing wrong with going out there if you have the means and the needs to giving your child every single opportunity to succeed. I was one of those kids, and I have been called everything but a white woman and a child of God. And so I was on that end of it where people were rude and mean and cruel because we did spend lots of money and buy the best animals, and we had people that we knew could help us. Didn't mean that I didn't go out there and work my butt off every single day at my barn. I went before school. I was there till dark after school. So don't just assume because people want to win that their kids don't want to win too. And that's just one example. I'm getting a lot of comments from people when we're at backdrops or whatever. Well, we raised this one. We didn't go buy it. That is great that you bred and owned your own animal. And that is awesome. I bred a lot of animals that we've shown. And I'm telling you, in my situation, it was a lot easier and a lot less frustrating. And in the grand scheme of things, cheaper to go find the one that I knew could win. But there is absolutely nothing wrong with you wanting to focus on having bred and owned animals and all that stuff. But don't be negative towards people that don't do that. We've just got to stop that. And again, we've got to lift each other up, be supportive of it, everybody, because the negativity is going to divide us and make us divisive, and we don't need that. Stay in your lane, do what you know, achieve the goals that you want to achieve, but don't look down and don't ridicule anybody else for the way that they achieve success within this industry.
Very well said, Ryan. And the different classes or the different focuses that we brought out, sometimes I think it's, and you've pointed out, the easy target is those that are spending a lot of money and working very hard at it at the same time and having success. Those do become the easy target. But I think we even see a target against, just like you admitted earlier, you weren't a fan, maybe as much of a fan of those, or didn't understand why some just went to a county fair. Or maybe somebody that's not as excited about showmanship doesn't understand that segment of it. But we're all in the stock show arena together from the standpoint it's still doing a lot of good for our youth. And now more than ever before in our country, we have to make sure that these programs continue. And it's so much better if we're supportive, we are enthusiastic for the person that wins showmanship, the person that wins the market show, the person that wins the bred and owned heifer show, whatever it may be. There is nothing wrong with being excited for that person and showing that excitement.
Yep. We got to quit being negative about whatever it is in this deal. And I'm not saying that you have to be excited that you didn't achieve your goal. But when somebody else does, be happy for them and work harder to do it next time. And I don't know if I've stated it on the podcast before, but I know I've stated on social media. Some of you don't clap for other people, and that's why it will never be your turn. Just remember that.
Just that simple.
Now you can do question and answer.
Jamie has a question.
I'm listening.
Ryan and Dale, I heard you guys talking about judging a show together in Florida on the last episode. At least they're listening, Ryan.
Yeah, there you go.
What is the best way to contact you about judging a show? I think this question needs to be answered, Ryan, for one reason alone, Would you like me to tell you that reason?
Not really, but I can't prevent you from
I am
it.
tired of being your secretary. Tired. Done.
Uh-huh.
I resign. How is that? I resign.
Right.
No, I get a lot of Facebook messages or texts for one reason or another. They have my phone number, wanting Ryan's phone number, and I'm pretty good about giving it out.
I don't understand
your
how
address.
everybody doesn't have my phone number. It's literally listed on everything. And so, anyway, the best way to contact me about judging a show is, I'm going to say this right now. I do not like talking on the phone. I do not. Let me repeat. I do not like talking on the phone. So, the best way to get with me about judging a show is to text me or to Facebook message me. I do not check Instagram messages very often, so don't do that. But I am pretty good about checking Facebook messages. If you would like my number, I guess I'll just put it out there. I guess it doesn't matter because it's on everything anyway. But my number is 979-229-1549. And text me. I get lots of questions about it. Right now, the biggest hurdle is availability. I'm pretty heavily booked for 2022 already, especially on weekends. But I am more than happy to check the date, see if we can work out. Everybody thinks that it costs $1 million to get me or something like that. That's not how it works. And so I'll just put this out there. Show contacts me. I'm available. They tell me the dates. I figure out what it's going to take me to get to the show, what it's going to take to keep me there in terms of hotel rooms, rental cars, flight. I book all my own travel stuff. I'm going to say that right now. I do it all mine own. I come up with an expense estimate for those shows. I give that to them. And whatever they pay me on top of that is up to them. So that's how it works. And I've given you my number.
Fair enough. I think that's great, and I'm a little bit like you. It's much better for me to have a text message so I have a reference because I am distracted easily. But Ryan, I have a problem with the Facebook messages because of that one little area you showed me in Florida that I never go to.
Yeah, that you don't like that area.
So if you're not a friend and you're limited to 5,000 friends on Facebook and you send a message, I just don't see it. It doesn't exist in my world. And I'm not even sure about Instagram messages. I can share something on Instagram, but I'm not even 100% sure how to go find it.
You send me Instagram messages all the time.
Yes, but I don't know how to go get them.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest. I do not check my Instagram messages. I mean, hardly much at all. So there you go.
Excellent. Well,
That's
thank you.
the answer.
Jamie, thank you very much. And I will now receive less texts about what's Ryan's phone number. And that is a great
I could say
thing.
something real funny
No,
right now.
let's leave
I'm just gonna keep quiet.
this alone. Okay, we have Kyle. How do I get our county fair officials to do better? How can I get them to make changes that should have been changed 20 years ago? Well, Kyle, welcome to the world.
Yeah. I don't know how many times we've had this question, but I just had somebody, Oldwood Limited, who is our national all-around sponsor, lady that runs that deal or part of the run, Mandy. She just sent me a text message like last week about county fairs. She was on her county fair board. She got off of it this year because she's just too busy with other stuff. But she brought up a very valid point. I don't think until you get into the workings of it and stuff that you don't realize that there's a bunch of people on those county fair boards that don't have any livestock experience, or the last time they had an animal in a show ring, it was 20 to 40 years ago. They just never leave. And so you've got to either put yourself in a position, and I don't know how every county fair board is decided. If you run, if you volunteer or what, but you either got to put yourself in a position to be on the county fair board or to be the chairman of that thing and of that division, species, show, so you can make the changes, or you've got to go find those people and talk to them. And I'm not talking about like be mean, irate, radical. Have a heartfelt conversation with them in an even tone about why these rules need to be updated, changed, taken out, removed, whatever it is. And I will say again, if you're not going to put yourself in the position to be on the fair board or to be the volunteer that whatever and all that other stuff, then you better take multiple people with you, because when one person says something, I accept your opinion, I understand it. It's a big difference when 15 are standing there and you've all got the same opinions on the things that need to be changed. And so you've just got to make your voices heard, whether it is being a part of the solution in terms of being on the county fair board or volunteering, or reaching out to those people, either yourself or with a group of people, and telling them your thoughts and feelings.
Excellent, Kyle. I hope that helps. And Ryan, I think that is one we've answered in many different episodes, and I hope we continue. But the good news is I do hear from people, and we don't bring those into question and answer, that changes are being made, and they picked up something that you or I said and took it to their county fair, and things are changing. And hopefully there's an impact there. And Kyle, I hope that you get some of that implemented at your show by just making yourself heard and taking the most professional approach possible. The last one comes from Jennifer. Ryan and Dale, I love the podcast. My family shows at our county fair and 2 other local shows. How do we know when we're ready to go to our state fair and or a national show?
You just got to go.
Yeah, that's it. Don't think there's that barrier that you can't.
Yeah, you just got to go. And again, the first time it may not be, the greatest experience in the world in terms of how well you do, but until you go and either watch it or participate, you're never going to know what you need to do better or change to compete at that level.
And I think it's great to go and watch it before you go, maybe the year before, but until you just throw yourself in it as a competitor, participant, showman, whatever that may be, you're not going to learn what you need to do to succeed.
No. And I'm going to tell you, when I was brokering steers and heifers and all this other stuff, because I did all species a little bit, but if somebody's like, you know what, because I know what it took at the major levels in Texas and national and state fairs, and I got all that. But like, I would have people that wanted those animals, but they were like, we also need you to find us a county fair animal. I was like, well, when's your county fair? And they tell me, I said, okay, I'm going to come watch. And they're like, why? I said, because I don't know what it takes to win your county fair. I've never been there. Until I see what's going on, what's there, what the level of competition is, what the rules are. I can't just magically buy one, because a lot of times there's a lot of counties that I could find an animal that was much, much cheaper that could fulfill the hopes, dreams, and goals of my client at their county fair. And so I would go watch. I would literally, if I had the time, and I wasn't judging nearly as much back then, just on weekends. So I had the time, I'd go watch that show and be like, all right, I know what we got to have. So there you go.
Excellent. Well, Jennifer, hopefully that makes sense. My recommendation, jump in with both feet and go from there. And it will work out, and you will understand the process, and things will continue to get better. Ryan, with that said, thank you for accommodating my Montana schedule in Clifton the Same.
You and your voodoo Angus nonsense.
And the occasional bear running across the road.
Too early in the morning.
It's a beautiful backdrop to look at Angus cattle, Ryan. It really, really is. Good cattle.
Yeah, well, I didn't get invited, so.
Remember, you're having plane issues.
Yeah, I didn't get invited.
Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear it? And join the BTRJLA.